Hi, I'm PJ Arañador. I'm the director of the film called A Journey on Wings. I'm an international lifestyle designer by profession. I'm from Iloilo. I'm also doing product development as well as brand consultancy. But my involvement with the film is that it is my passion. It is one of my hobbies as well as one of my previous works as well. So let me go through with the story behind A Journey of Wings. A Journey on Wings is a film which tells about the cultural heritage, the identity of Panay Bukidnon, which is an indigenous tribe in the Philippines, which is located in Panay Island, which is central of the Philippines. The film is about the preservation of a culture that is almost languishing, but it's still living, and how this can be conserved and preserved, especially focusing on their crafts and their dance and their music. The film is more like a drama where the narrative is a cast who plays themselves. No? So it's like in reality, they are playing, they are who they are. So the film is an interesting story of a teenager who invited his friends who are from the lowland. The indigenous Panay Bukidnon shared with his friends the culture of their tribe, and they rediscover it. So while the lesson of the story is about appreciation of other culture, it brings also questions in our mind how in the modern world an ancient tradition, beliefs, practices can be preserved by a tribe like in Panay Bukidnon amidst the introduction of modernity and challenges, of course, in a modern world. The film is produced by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, Republic of the Philippines, as well as the ILoilo Dinagyang Foundation, which is a group of people who are into research, activation, promotions of culture of Iloilo, and as well as in the region. So it's produced in relationship to the International DanceXchange, which was supposed to have been conducted in Iloilo. However, because of the COVID, we shifted the presentation in this film. So the film has been made possible, of course, with the cooperation of the National Commission for Indigenous Peoples in the Philippines, as well as the local government units of our province. So with this, we thank the Executive Director of NCCA, or the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, Maricho Tiliano, as well as the DanceXchange chairman, Shirley Halili Cruz, who are responsible for putting this together, and as well as the officers of the ILoilo Dinagyang Foundation, which includes the president, Mr. Andrada, the immediate past president, Mr. Ramon Locsin, and of course our hardworking treasurer, Marisa Segovia. The story of the film begins when the friends of the indigenous teenager Renel, these three boys traveled to the hinterlands of Calinog, Iloilo. So they were introduced by Renel on their crafts, which is panubok. And they were able to interact with the members of the tribe and begin to discover. But there was a conflict. And the conflict was that one of the teenagers was really not interested in the music, in the beautiful spots, in the tradition of Panay Bukidnon, which is opposed to the two other teenagers who embraced them. So eventually, while they were introduced to the beautiful culture, they fought over petty things. And you know, in the tradition of the Panay Bukidnon, the elders have to settle conflicts, which usually on bigger things rather than mundane things. And so they were supposed to attend Binanog, which is a ceremonial dance to celebrate, because in the culture of the Panay Bukidnon, they would be happy to dance and with the guests so that they will enjoy the culture. So they were late because something happened when they traveled or explored the wilderness of the mountains, and in the end they were able to learn a lot of lessons, and that's what I would like you to find out what happens in the film, because that conflict has given a lot of lessons, if not inspirations, for young people to appreciate other people's culture. The cast of characters of the film really involves the tribe of the Garangan tribe community in Garangan, Calinog, Iloilo, which is in the hinterlands or the uplands central of Panay. The lead is Renel, a young boy from the tribe who is very well educated, and he has been trained through various schools, including that of the School of Living Tradition, on the arts and crafts, including the folklore, the storytelling of his tribe. And with that, two other of his friends in real life, which includes Jared Las, visiting student from UP, Baguio, who is having his online class in Iloilo, and then Elijah Villarina, who's an architecture student at the Iloilo Science and Technology University, who's also a model, and then Isaiah Julian Parungao, who's actually a musician as well as an entrepreneur. And the lead, there are girls as well. Her name is Linda Helbaliga, who's actually a music student on music ethnology at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, of the music, which really is focused on her own indigenous tribe. So it revolves about reality, playing themselves, and how they interpret the storyline, because the film is not really scripted. Now, what we're saying is there is no really formal script, just the storyline. And as a director, I allow them to ad-lib. I allow them to just say what they feel, giving them the basic framework of the storyline, and that comes out naturally, you know, so that in the film you will see that they're all just like conversing. Of course, it's very, very difficult to act in front of camera, and sometimes, you know, I mean, these are not professional actors. The first time for them to face a camera for a film, there are charming little scenes that you will actually appreciate, that the humanity of acting can be as spontaneous as would be in life. Who is Panay Bukidnon Suludnon? Panay Bukidnon is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, ethnic group in central Philippines. But they have, you know, Panay Irainon, which is towards Antique, which is towards the south of the island. And we have the central, which is ILoilo, and in between, also, rather, somewhere in the uplands, in the border of Tapas, Capiz, Lambunao, Calinog. And you know, they are divided by topographically by rivers. No, that's where their story began, when they are lowlanders and they traveled to the uplands during the pre-Spanish period, and when the Spaniards arrived, they were the untouched members of the Ilonggos in general. And that's when their culture was really preserved through ancient times. So what does it mean? Their culture is as pure. That's why they have a language which is no longer spoken, and this language is preserved in their epic chants, which is one of the longest in the world, the second longest in Asia. It is an oral tradition which takes them 20 days continuously chanting, no? Which tells a lot of diverse stories, from mysticism to their experiences about you know, nature, conflict, and then so many other stories that are unique on their own. So recently, of course, because the evolution of society, there were also the younger ones were able to go to school and go back to their tribe. So they're bringing along rather a culture that is from the lowland. No? So while they're in the upland, there's what we call the lowland culture, and this is where the film began to explore that. What if the lowlanders go up to the upland? What are the expectations? How will they react? What would be the lessons that they can learn from this tradition? So the Panay Bukidnon belongs to the Austro-Asian heritage, and they speak one of the biggest dialects. And this is, you know, influenced heavily with Kinaray. And I'm so blessed that I can speak it, I can understand it, as well as Ilonggo, but not their ancient dialect. Only them understand it. So with the historical background, we interweave this in the film by telling a lot of stories about Binokot, for instance, the mysticism of the cultural bearers, the interaction of the elders with the young people, and as well as focused really on the dance, which is the last or the ultimate focus of the film itself, as well as the embroidery. So we say that the attire of any indigenous people, for instance, is not your costume. It's never their costume, because due respect to the meaning of what this garments or attire means to them. It has meaning in terms of spirituality, in terms of the relationship to nature, the environment, the social status, the coloring, the motifs that are incorporated in this attire. And you will discover this in the film by itself. So the story is therefore just a little of this element, so that you will see the total picture of their culture by itself. How about Binanog, their dance? Binanog is a beautiful dance by itself, because it's only not one form. There is a dance that is danced by a single woman, they call it tigbabayi, and there is for men, or tig lalaki, and pairs, and each movement has meaning that is related to their beliefs and cultural practices, and you will discover this in the film. So what it is that the Binanog is really essential for the elders to train the young ones, and through the School of Living Traditions, which is a school put up by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, only recently, maybe give it for the last 7 years, the School of Living Tradition has succeeded in helping the Panay Bukidnon teach the young ones, so that this dance form is not going to be lost among them. Their beautiful attire is all hand embroidered, and this is what it's make a beautiful presentation, because it's not only the dance form that you will see, but also their exquisitely embroidered costumes, which has a lot of meaning in terms of color: red because it's bravery, black because of the mysticism, white because of purity. What is the meaning of using a fern in their dress, the mountains and bones of fish, the skin of snake. These are like beautiful images that you phantom deeper and how they translate environment, nature, into their crafts towards the panubok. So, Binanog imitates the movement of the eagle, It's like flying, and you can observe how beautiful their arms are. But it's also very gravitational, because something like their feet is really grounded, and really something like that's heavy towards the ground, while at the same time they fly. So that balance and beautiful movements that they create, while the girls would slouch like that, as their bodies are slouching, their hands are up in the air while their feet are doing a lot of fit work. No? So I want you to discover this. I want you to appreciate them, that these are primitive dance forms. The film features the music of Panay Bukidnon through chants, through their instruments. So in this story, Renel shared his various music that he learned from his elders. So you will see in the film that how the elders teach the young members of the tribe in appreciation as well as, you know, self-promotion and sharing this lovely music with them. The film also touches on binokot, which is mysticism. Tells about women who are culture bearers, who are supposed to be kept women. No? So they're not supposed to touch the ground, their feet, they're not supposed to see anybody. They are secluded, but they're very, very sharp because they are going to pass down the culture in terms of their chants, in terms of their folklore, their poetry, their dance, to the next in line. And here in the film, we captured this binokot in terms of how the teenagers are really so intrigued, that became so engaged, trying to ask questions, what is really binokot? They wanted to see it, but it's a very elusive thing. And of course, this become part of their distinct identity. The Panay Bukidnon has a lot of traditions, and for instance, in the film, there is a scene about Renel explaining to his friend Jared about the binangon. This is a bolo, which is tells about the prestige, the status of a person or family in the society by embellishment, and they're also their tradition for gathering, either ritual or celebration. One of these is punchon, where the community eat and they do rituals before the meal itself. And there is also the tradition in terms of reading nature by itself. So this is a beautiful part of the film on this Renel telling the meaning of the stars and the moon. And what was very interesting is that while the scene, there are like 4 boys in the middle of the wilderness in the forest in their bonfire, trying to cook their corn because they were hungry. But we had audience actually from the community because they were engaged and how a film is being done, and there were already like fans of these boys, and there was like an experience, sharing all of these experiences with the community, that in the middle of the night they stayed late just to watch the film making itself. And I was amused. As a director, I was amused. The bigger part of the film focuses on panubok, which is an ancient needlecraft, one of the oldest, if not the oldest in the Philippines, which is an heritage. It's exquisitely done embroidery. And I want to show you, because as a designer, I made a contemporary version of this technique. The group of manunubok, or the ones who do the craft, we were supposed to show this in New York, and was able to develop some, I'll show you some pieces. So this is pattern after their patterns, no? That has meaning. Girigite, the mountains, the traditional motif, and I was asking them why it's basically crooked. No, if you can see, it's the it comes in crooked because they say, sir, in the mountains there is no straight line. If you walk, in a trail, it's always like zigzag, and that's the meaning of it. So it's an interesting discovery for me, and we were ready to have a lecture in New York City, as well as a presentation with my own collection. And some of these pieces we showed as well in the film as a takeoff of how a designer myself be able to interpret it so that it becomes wearable. Because this is winter, it's quilted and it can be worn during winter time. And basically we also go into all cotton and something that's biodegradable, something that's really environmental friendly. So the attire of the dancers are all in panubok, and explaining as well the inspirations, the sources, the motif that are involved in this design process. And there are other films that have touched on this topic, and here we incorporate it with the dance, by which they are supposed to really wear their attire, which are all embroidered. This is done by Rinel, the boy who's in the film. He makes this for me, and it helps him go to school. So every time he goes down to the lowland and the city, in Iloilo City, he brings this along, and I give him something that will buy him his books, his needs for school. And also there are other women who bring their work, as well as one of our cast members, our musician Rolinda, also give her work that helps her through school. So it's a livelihood for them because of its exquisite craftsmanship. Everybody loves it, I mean, there's no such thing in the world how through the luxury of time they're able to do something like this in a modern world, that everything is handmade. The School of Living Traditions in Garangan, in Calinog, has helped the Panay Bukidnon through its workshop in all their various art forms, so that the young people will be able to pass this on as well. In spite they're still 6 years old, 15 years old, and 21-year-old, they are able to appreciate this as early as possible. So the NCCA has succeeded in terms of the succession problem, because we all believe that culture, indigenous especially, is a very important part of our identity as Filipinos. And the School of Living Traditions has given a lot of opportunities, not only for themselves, but also for people who are interested to assist, to learn, and to promote. Basically, my first contact with them is through the School of Living Traditions, when I saw that a lot of these young people can embroider, and they are boys. No, we in our modern or lowland tradition we say only women embroiders, not for us men. But for them, there's no gender. No, you can do crafts on this embroidery because in my experience, as I traveled around many countries, especially in India, that men are the one who actually do the most beautiful, exquisite embroidery than women. Creating a journey of wings as a film has been extremely difficult because we did this during the pandemic, and we're basically amateur. We're not professional commercial filmmakers. So, but you know, what is the essence of a documentation or a documentary film is that anything can happen. So the film was done entirely with just 4 people, you know, myself as the costume designer, as the makeup artist, as the runner, as the script writer, as the I did the story, as you know, even serving food, and we had our film editor who you know, did not sleep for so many weeks to do it. And cinematographer is also the lighting man, is also the tagabuhat, you know, carrying our things, and basically that. So what was very difficult is that we have to catch for time, you know. So our cameras would be jarring, they can be wet, you know. We go through mountains and rivers and cross them, and it's not easy. So, but you know, my team is always there, sir, sometimes it's not, you know, as high definition, it's moving. And I said, you know, the people will understand. We're telling a story, you know. I'm not good at telling a story about myself, but I'm always good, modesty aside, to tell story about others people's story. So I said, you know, relax. I am not looking for perfection. I'm looking for charm. We're going to tell a story. Never mind the camera if you don't have that, because that's the essence of the documentary film. No? And that's why I said, you know, we have the basic script. Let them do some ad-lib. I like that element that will go into that humanity, that they get it from their heart. So I don't direct film that really too technical. So we use the natural sun, and if it's dark, it's dark. Never mind, that's nature. And if something can go wrong, basically we say only us knows. So I said just go on. Anyway, the film was done in 2 days. And it's amazing that we can do a lot, you know. So I think the organization was as fantastic. And the essence of documentary film is that basically it can be run by 3 people. And if that had been accomplished, there's no reason why there are opportunities for Ilonggos like us to explore some more, because Iloilo is a haven also of a lot of good filmmakers, and we're a new fight. We just bring this in because basically we love what we do. We're very passionate. We're not earning. We love what we do. So in this film, we're not earning. It's the passion. And then when you have that passion, I think that's when the work shows. No? We try to bring in the opinions of our actors, of the community. We ask the elders, is this correct? How can we do this? So that's why in Snap, we say, okay, you know, let's do this. Sometimes, you know, the cameraman have to run after a butterfly or capture the cow that is grazing. So we are into the essence of capturing that instant, that very moment. We have to capture it. We had to shoot several locations instead of one. But because it was locked down, we need to find other location shoots. So we were all over Iloilo by itself. So we were in San Miguel, we were in Cabatuan, as far as Sara and Limery and San Rafael. We have to look for spots that will be able to put the film together. So that was one difficulty that we have to struggle. So we have to sleep elsewhere, sacrifice our time and running. Our timetable was falling short because it's also like, entering the rainy days. And so we have to catch up with, the sunset. So we were traveling and we were saying, okay, we have to run as quickly as we could, go up the mountain and catch the sunset. And then do that as quickly as we could because we have to catch up the midnight when we have to put a bonfire and where can we get lights. How can we don't have a generator set. How we're able to light this part when we are so short. So working on our lean resources. But the beauty of this is that we were able to pull it together. Filming during the pandemic created a lot of challenges. On the other hand, it created a lot of opportunities for us. One is to be creative. We thought that when there is so much desperation for something that people would like to see, and I said, okay, let's show people how beautiful our mountains are. It's a feeling of escape. You want to escape, so we show you the mountains. we show you the aerial view of how beautiful Panay Island is, not necessarily only in Garangan in Calinog, but how our cinematographer was capture the beauty of our rice fields, the mountain ranges, and this is an appreciation of how we have forgotten nature. That most of the films that we see is telenovela. Most of the films we see is Korean. When within us, we don't even appreciate that we have our nature that can be filmed and can be incorporated in a story. The addiction to a film that is telenovela is just the narrative of the life stories of the characters. But what is it when you see your own, that you reflect that this is my people, this is where they live, this is how wonderful they have preserved nature in the past. The Panay Bukidnon has a vast, very huge ancestral land. And the beauty of this ancestral land is that we see how rich nature is in the rainforest. When the boys went into the wilderness and discovered the pako, the fern, and how huge the ferns are, they began to appreciate that, it's time for us to really see how important nature to our society and the earth in general. The other advantage of filming during the pandemic is try to be sensitive with other people. So we try to consider the requirements that we have to have a minimum protection, health protocol, with at least, when we are not filming, we are all make sure that we wear our masks. On the other hand, we are all negative in terms of our swab tests. So that's just to assure that during the filming, we had our minimum health protocol. A Journey on Wings was filmed by our production crew, which is the Copia Legal Multimedia, and headed by our very creative cinematographer Alj Panagitn Jr. And with his team, Seth Jimenez as our editor, and the team also included Arlo Panagiton as well as Arlo Fuentes, and basically just the four of them, no? And of course, we had able support of Joy De Leon from ILoilo Dinagyang Foundation, who has been instrumental to believing that we will be able to deliver this film. And supporting us is PJ Arañador Design Studio, and then there are our cast who actually doubled as our technical consultants, no? That includes Rolinda on the music that and chants that we needed, along with Rinel, and of course also Pau Taton from the University of the Philippines, Visayas. Because this is one of the most difficult parts, how we will be able to match the music with the sentences in the film, and we were able to get assistance from these people. Of course, there's Karil Nokis, who generously provided us a location shoot in Cabatuan, and as well as the food prepared for us. And we were able to make it possible in a very short time, no? Help us along the way. We would like you to watch this interesting film. Remember the title, it's A Journey on Wings. This will be world premiered in YouTube channel, along with the Facebook channels of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts and the ILoilo Dinagyang Foundation. I think there's the Living Asia Facebook, and so many will host the film. So certainly it's going to be coming up soon, and what is the beauty here is you will be able to enjoy this right in your home. You don't really have to go out and entertain yourself while learning something about our culture, specifically the Panay Bukidnon of ILoilo. So don't miss it. Watch it, because it's an interesting film that we are offering, especially to the young people. Of course, we express our appreciation to the ILoilo Dinagyang Foundation Inc., especially the set of officers who believed that we can do this film in spite of the givens, and we really appreciate all your support that this has been possible. On behalf of my team, we would like to thank the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, especially Executive Director Maricha Tiliano, and DanceXchange Creative Director Shirley Halili Cruz, for this opportunity that we will be able to put this together for our audience who are excited to celebrate dance as an art form, music as a way of expressing ourselves through our culture, and as well as the many attributes of how beautiful our culture is from the Philippines. And the film is easy for our foreign audience to understand, because it has an English subtitles, as simple as they could read them. So we therefore would like our international audience to as well take a peek and enjoy the film.